Lowe's knows that free is just better. That's why MyLowe's Rewards is free to join. As a member, you earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases, get exclusive free gifts, and earn free shipping at Silver Key status, all on top of weekly member-only deals. Don't wait. Join MyLowe's Rewards for free today and start saving more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com. ODOO.com.
Eli, why are you walking us out into the woods?
Did you make a raccoon harem again?
No!
I do not believe you at all.
Okay, look, we just need to go a little farther into this grove. Here, look, and voila!
Oh. Hey, guys.
Oh, hey, Cecil.
Hey, best friend.
What are you guys doing out here?
I had a GPS tracker installed in your hip 2 days after we met.
Wait, what?
It's not important.
Wait,
What are you doing out here?
Oh, me? I'm nothing. I'm nothing.
And why are you trying to hide a shovel behind your back right now? I can see it.
Oh, this?
Yep.
This shovel?
Yeah,
that's the Miyamoto Musashi workout. It's all the rage now. The
I'm
shovel.
sorry, what is in that hole back there?
Nothing. I don't know what hole. What are we talking about? Let's just go back to the studio. We can just all go back right now.
Oh, no, I get it. It's this week we're doing Jimmy Hoffa, so you're like burying a body out here or something, like as a bit to go with the Jimmy. That's cool. Can I touch it? Can I touch
I would also like to touch the body.
the body? Yeah.
That is it, guys. That is exactly. There's actually nothing in the hole. We should just go back. Let's just go back. What do you think?
Wait.
Let's go back.
What is this sticking out down
Yeah,
there?
no, wait,
that-
this looks like an essay.
No, what?
An essay on Fatty Arbuckle?
Who is that, though? What is that all about? Who the heck is Fatty Arbuckle? Let's just go back to the studio.
You're talking really weird. Were you burying a citation needed script out here about Fatty Arbuckle?
Maybe.
I don't know why. It doesn't look bad. Look, this is funny. Good jokes on page 2. Good story. I don't know why you're
Read the second half.
Oh, okay. I get it now. All right.
Oh, come on. Let me see that. How bad could it be?
Wow.
You guys want to help me bury it? What do you think?
Definitely.
I do.
Let's
I
do
want to
that.
help you bury
Is this
that.
the hole right here?
Yeah. No, that's essay. That's Eli's essay on Columbine.
Oh, right.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You know, we're running out of space out here. We need a new spot.
Ooh, new
Will
spot.
do. Yeah.
Still think we should have done Terry Schiavo.
Well, Heath, we are not having that conversation again.
Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts. Because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Eli Bosnick, and I'll be uniting this 5-man workforce, but I'll need some muscle and some brains. First up, 2 guys who should probably start paying protection money to themselves, Noah and Tom.
Yeah, but as I learned when I became self-employed, I'm cheap.
Look, I'm not saying that I'm self-destructing, but I am saying that I have only myself to blame, so...
And also joining us tonight, 2 guys old enough to have played stickball with our subject, Noah and Cecil.
I'll tell you, Hoffa's batting average when playing stickball was local 299. That's what it was.
You know, normally I would push back on the old thing, but yeah, I must be getting old. It's fucking with my memory. Didn't you already introduce me?
And also joining everybody is a person who is also here, Heath. Me, welcome to the show. Thank you, me. Great. Let's fucking go.
Now he cares when he's on the show.
At least you got to be in the skit, the opening skit. That's all right.
I'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons. This is a beautiful little podcast you got here, and it sure would be terrible if something happened to it. Luckily,
Did you go in and out of an accent?
Neighborhood watch
Not really.
over at patreon.com/citationpod. Make sure that this kind of terrible tragedy would never take place. So if you'd like to learn how to join the ranks, be sure to check out, stick around to the end of the show. And with that out of the way, tell us, Tom, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
Well, thank you to our patron box. I'm not allowed near the end zone of Giant Stadium. Actually suits me just fine. I didn't want to go anyway. But today we'll be talking about Union leader Jimmy Hoffa.
Ooh, and Cecil, you read between the lines. Are you ready to sell us up the river?
For literally any price, anything. Like a fucking Skittle. I don't even care.
Too fast. So, who was Jimmy Hoffa?
Jimmy Hoffa was an American labor union leader when that actually meant something.
Yeah, now all it means is that you're probably late on your mortgage payments.
He was the president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, which is the truckers union. And my dad, Teamster for several decades, could not say this guy's name without calling him a crook. He also went missing in 1975. They declared him dead 7 years later, but they've never found the remains, and there were no convictions in the disappearance.
Just like Osama bin Laden and JFK. Interesting.
Exactly.
Not at all like
No.
that.
No, unrelated
Just
anyway.
like those
Even
people we
close.
shot
It's
down over
not-
Pennsylvania.
Precisely.
God damn it.
Cancel the episode.
We have a hole in the forest for these kind of things.
Take 3.
Jimmy was born in Brazil, Indiana.
Yeah, worst carnival ever. Just very disappointing.
On a
No one can use the bathroom in public.
He was born on February 14th, 1913, a Valentine's baby.
Aw.
His dad, John Hoffa, died when Jimmy was 7 from lung disease, and the rest of the family moved to Detroit when Hoffa was 11. He quit school at 14 years old and worked manual labor jobs like painting full-time.
Gee, Mrs. Appletree, sure would be terrible if someone were to paint your house when you were least... You know what? This doesn't make any sense. I gotta get a new kid.
I'm so nostalgic. Y'all remember when people moved to Detroit? Yeah, me neither. It was the 50s.
Yeah.
That happened.
They're giving a stipend for people to do that now.
They are. They've been trying to get me to come back. Yeah. Like, we have water now. You can drink it. It's out of a bottle. Bottled.
It's important.
Yeah, it's here. Hoffa moved on from painting houses to working in a grocery store chain when he was a teen. He became involved with the union and organized labor around this time. The job he was working paid shitty wages, had shittier working conditions, and not a ton of job security. So think professional podcaster with a boss.
Done.
Done.
Okay. I just want to point out that Eli has nobody to blame but himself for his asbestos-covered workstation. Okay? I didn't do that.
Is that asbestos?
The workers wanted to unionize, and Hoffa took to union leadership naturally. Hoffa became inspired to work as a union organizer after a run-in with an abusive foreman. When Jimmy stood up to him, the other employees were impressed by him, so he moved on from that job and became an organizer with the Teamsters in Detroit, Local 299.
Back when threatening people effectively was a valid line item on your resume.
Right?
I live in the wrong era.
Yeah. How about I fucking kill you as a negotiation tactic that is sadly underused in today's labor division?
Eli gets it.
Agree. Now it's, how about I fucking starve you? And it's used by the other team. And I don't mean you're fired and you're going to starve. I mean, congratulations, you work at Walmart now. You are below the poverty line.
You made it to starvation.
Oh, Jesus. A few years later, while working with non-unionized laundry workers on their strike, he meets his soon-to-be wife, Josephine. They married 6 months later in September of 1936. They would go on to have 2 kids, a daughter, Barbara, and a son, James. And I want to just quote Wikipedia here so you can hear the house price. Quote, "The Hoffas paid $6,800 in 1939 for a modest home in northwest Detroit. The family later owned a simple summer lakefront cottage in Orion Township, Michigan, north of Detroit." His son, by the way, 30 plus years after Jimmy is removed as the Teamsters union president, takes over the position, and he's been the IBT president since 1999.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus. True fact about that house in Detroit. It's actually worth less now than it was in 1939.
Fuck yeah, man. $7,000 will get you everything north of I-94 right now.
Jesus Christ. In the 30s through the 40s, the Teamsters grew pretty significantly in both numbers and power. In 1903, when they were founded, they had 75,000 members. There was a push by Hoffa and other union leaders to consolidate other trucker unions with the Teamsters. That made their membership grow to 170,000 in 1936 and 420,000 in 1939, and it was over 1 million by 1951.
Wow.
Hoffa won a bunch of contract disputes using quickie strikes.
Quickie strikes, where only one side is happy about the outcome. That checks. It's a good name.
That's a good term.
And the secondary boycotts, which leveraged other related industries to put pressure on another to get them to cave to the demands of the union. This would be like a grocery store strike to help get rights for farm laborers. It's hard to wrap your head around it, but back then workers actually cared about other workers. Also, since the Teamsters were connected to a ton of professions, since they delivered raw materials, finished projects, etc., they use this network to become the most powerful union in the country.
Right. And that's why Amazon workers each get their own pee bucket now. Bring everything.
And hey, fun fact, that secondary boycotts thing, literally illegal now. So yeah, if you're in a union, don't like root too hard for a second bucket per person at Amazon.
No shit, we can't even get everyone in the same room to decide that people shouldn't go bankrupt or die if they get sick. Like trying to convince people to take time off of work to strike because their neighbors are striking is a utopian dreamscape we will never see again. Something which I just said about the 1970s.
And the mob had its dirty hands in the pie, too. The truckers' union were totally in bed with the mafia. So this means that Hoffa, in order to get and maintain power in the unions, had to deal with mafia bosses. Quote, he had to make accommodations and arrangements with many gangsters, beginning in the Detroit area. Organized crime influence over the IBT would expand as the union itself grew, end quote.
Okay, but nowadays union leaders have to get in bed with unsavory characters like U.S. Congress people. So let's not judge Jimmy too harshly. That's all I'm saying.
So even though Hoffa was a Teamster and a union organizer, he never worked as a truck driver or a dockhand.
Yeah, that's how management works, though, and that's why it's better.
In 1946, in December, Jimmy Hoffa became the president of the Detroit Local 299. Hoffa received a draft letter for World War II, and he, quote, obtained a deferment from military service in World War II by successfully making a case for his union leadership skills being more valuable to the nation by keeping freight running smoothly to assist the war effort, end quote. Shortly thereafter, he became the head of the Michigan Teamsters.
So he was just like, dear Uncle Sam, these kneecaps ain't gonna break themselves. I'm gonna go ahead and pass. Love, Jimmy.
I love that the actual deferment was based on I'm too important to get shot.
Yeah.
What does that say about the rest of you fuckers?
To be fair, I wear that shirt whenever I walk around Chicago. It's useful.
In 1952, Jimmy Hoffa was elected national vice president of the Teamsters. That year, the president of the IBT, Daniel Tobin, was stepping down after 45 years on the job. Daniel's successor, Dave Beck, was having some real difficulty securing all the support he needed to take over, and Hoffa smoothed over any issues. In exchange, Hoffa got the number 2 spot.
Okay, there's a 100% chance after that he just looked around the room like, who doesn't love a solid number 2, huh?
It's a poop joke.
Trump said that this week. Flush the toilet 15 times.
10, 15 times,
Yeah.
you love it.
5 years later, Beck was appearing before the U.S. Senate Select Committee on Improper Activities in Labor or Management Field. He was questioned by Robert F. Kennedy, a name that will appear later in the story, about a missing $322,000 from the Union Treasury. And he pleaded the Fifth Amendment, meaning he refused to answer possibly incriminating questions. He pleaded the Fifth 140 times.
What?
And I have no idea what the over-under on pleading the Fifth in a set of questioning is, but it seems high.
Yeah.
It seems high.
How does that happen?
Yeah.
How do they get all the way to 140?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know I took the Fifth 139 times in a row just now, but no, I'm totally going to answer some of these questions. Just keep going. Go ahead.
I feel like you're lying.
Totally not lying. No, I'm going to answer. Go.
All right. Feels like I'm going to stop my 140th question, and you're going to take the Fifth again.
No. Toad's going to answer. Totally just, it's not going to be a joke on you at all.
So, where did you...
Fifth Amendment.
Okay.
In your face. We're going to murder you.
What?
We're going to murder you.
Oh.
Anyway, at the big IBT convention that year, the guy who was now under indictment got voted out, and Hoffa was voted in as president of the Teamsters. Beck would be convicted of fraud and get 30 months. On release, he got his $50,000 a year pension from the Teamsters and invested in parking lots, dying at 99, a millionaire.
And can I just say, parking lot union, strong.
Yeah.
He got a pension from the union that he was convicted of defraud. I
Yes.
live again. Wrong era. God.
Hoffa created a National Master Freight Agreement, which is the terms of the contract for the union truckers and trucking companies. And it was a huge piece of his legacy. And Wikipedia says it could be the most important thing he did in his life. He also expanded the union by unionizing over-the-road truck drivers into the Teamsters.
Wait. Where were the existing Teamsters driving? Were they under the roads? What the hell?
An under-the-road trucker. I love it. He also tried to bring in airline workers, but he did not have the success he had with over-the-road truck drivers.
All right. Well, so far it's just the charming tale of a legitimate businessman who looked out for the little guy. So I'm going to go get some cozy hot cocoa while we take a little break for something we call Apropos of Nothing.
Hi, I'm Tom.
And I'm Noah.
You know, we've had a lot of fun here on Citation Needed today about Jimmy Hoffa, but there's also important lessons we think the modern worker could learn.
For instance, do you know that instead of going through the long and often fruitless process of a wrongful termination lawsuit, you can just break your boss's legs?
It's true. And while websites like Glassdoor are a great way to encourage openness about salary in the workplace, so is just setting your boss's car on fire.
It really is.
Because while the robot who's coming to take your job never needs a bathroom break, he also won't kill your boss and leave him in a river.
Unions. Sometimes you gotta murder.
Hi, I'm Heath Enright.
And I'm Eli Bosnick.
You guys stole our opening.
If you said different names. If you missed our live shows in New York,
Fuck
then
you.
Nope, not what I was going to say.
sorry.
What I was going to say is that we'll be putting up the full videos of the shows on Patreon.com, one show per month over the next 4 months.
And then we will kill ourselves.
Probably not. Nope. Yep. Not what I was going to say. Just wait until I've finished. Cool. However, we will be leaving each video up for just 1 month. So there's never been a better time to sign up to be a patron at patreon.com/citationpod.
Not to mention, patrons get access to our patron-only mini-sodes, our suggestion box, and much, much more.
That's right. So if you want to see those videos and support the show, sign up at patreon.com/citationpod.
And if we don't get 200 new patrons by next week, we quit the show.
No, we don't.
Or do we?
We don't.
Okay. And we're back. When we left off, Jimmy Hoffa was a law-abiding citizen doing his best with what he had. Cecil, you have a really, really Italian last name. You want to tell us what happened next?
Oh, I can tell you with great clarity what happened next, my friend. So Hoffa at the time, he was doing some amazing unioning. He was also under investigation and then appealing fraud and jury tampering charges. This is about 15 years into him being president of the Teamsters. And at this point, they make Frank Fitzsimmons his vice president. And this, I guess, is the first time they name a VP as a direct successor. Before that, I guess there was just a vote, but they assumed he was going to go to jail and they needed someone there that could just take over and keep the kickbacks rolling in.
Great. And that was our current events news break. Back to the story about
Yeah. Oh, I wish. If only we could replace ours with a long dead semi-professional mobster. Jesus.
While Hoffa was having all this trouble with the law, JFK was president. Heath, don't...
Interesting.
There it is. Anyway,
Interesting.
JFK appointed his little brother, Robert, we mentioned him earlier, as Attorney General.
Interesting.
Thank you for electing me.
Nepotism.
And my family. It is not nepotism if the president does it. Write that down. They'll use it later.
Yeah. Well, RFK was supposedly pissed he couldn't nail down Hoffa and other union bosses years earlier, and he had an axe to grind, so he came after Hoffa with guns blazing.
He sets up a Teamsters parade for Jimmy Hoffa in Dallas. Just like, is this too obvious?
Hoffa did stave off these convictions for a long time. He was initially investigated in earnest in 1957, and it would take 7 years for him to be finally convicted of a crime. It would be 10 before he served any time. He was eventually convicted of attempted bribery of a grand juror.
How is that even a thing? Like, that's just like obstructing justice. That's not. Oh, I hear it now.
There it is. Yep.
Hoffa was also convicted of fraud in 1964. This was for improper use of the Teamster pension fund. Quote, Hoffa had illegally arranged several large pension fund loans to leading organized crime figures, end quote.
They were good for it.
All in all, he was sentenced to 13 years in prison. He tried to appeal these sentences for 3 years and was unsuccessful.
Damn, 13 years. You can get more time for very obviously not killing a lady in Texas.
So just before he enters prison, the contingency vice president, Frank Fitzsimmons, takes over. Now, the reason he was chosen by Hoffa in the first place is that he seemed really loyal to Jimmy. He owed pretty much all of his success to Hoffa. He was local to him as well. And Hoffa had gone to great lengths to consolidate power as the president of the union and run it unilaterally. But once Fitzsimmons was appointed as president, he started to undo the work that Jimmy had done. And he relinquished some of that control that the president had.
Jeez, you go to prison one time, everything falls apart around you.
Classic story.
Sorry, he undid everything he had done? What did he, like, disorganize the workers? Give back a couple snow days? What's going on there?
Oh, okay, Eli, you're presenting that like a joke, which means you're not super up to speed on what unions have been doing for the last half century or so.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have picked somebody whose major qualifications was he was nearby. What is being local to him?
Proximity choice.
Right?
Yeah. 5 years after going to jail, Hoffa had his sentence commuted to time served, and he had to stay out of union leadership for a decade. The guy responsible, President Richard Nixon.
Interesting.
Hoffa also got his pension of $1.7 million as a lump sum, like he was some kind of lotto winner, I guess.
It kind of was, though.
Yeah,
I mean, it kind of, it's not, yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
This was an unprecedented payout, by the way. And just two random facts here. The IBT had always endorsed Democrats. However, the Teamsters endorsed Nixon in the last election.
Interesting.
Thank you, Heath. Thank you.
Okay, look. I'm crazy as the next guy, and the next guy is Heath. But telling me Nixon was behind anything that I don't know about is a bridge too far.
And even though Hoffa had his sentence commuted, he was still pissed that he couldn't play union games. So he started suing the Nixon administration to get this overturned. That doesn't work, though.
Yeah, maybe because he was suing them for not ignoring the law enough.
He's also running into adversity in the union itself, as most of the people in it had stopped supporting him. He really only still held sway over the local union where he got his start, Detroit Local 299.
You know, it does seem like you'd lose some support after going to jail for basically stealing from the people you were hired to represent.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it, but that's not a lock, weirdly enough.
Well, yeah, no, Trump sure is hoping it isn't a lot.
In his bid to get back into power, Hoffa tried to make a deal with the mafia. One of the local leaders and made guy, Anthony Provenzano, was approached to endorse Hoffa. This meeting did not go well. Quote, Provenzano refused to listen and threatened Hoffa by saying that he would pull out his guts and kidnap his granddaughters, end quote. And as you can imagine, Hoffa did not take this so well. He retaliated by cooperating with investigators and against his mafia opponents.
All right, asshole. I'm going to go hang out with Robert F. Kennedy where it's always safe, no matter what, and narc on you.
I gotta say, like, that's a fucking weird threat. Once you pull out my guts, I have to tell you, I start to get really selfish. Like, I don't care so much about my grandkids anymore.
No, I hate to give you notes on air, bro, but you're doing that shit in the wrong order.
July 30th, 1975. Hoffa was supposed to meet up with local mob boss Anthony Giacalone and the guy that threatened to make sausage out of him, Anthony Provenzano. He went to the local restaurant called the Red Fox to meet him.
He's trying to hide a gun in the toilet tank, but 1975 Eli's just shitting in the only stall. Come on, man, I'm doing a thing.
I'm on flush 14. Wait for it.
called his wife at 2:15 and another colleague at 3:30, complaining that these two were late. This was the last time anyone spoke to Hoffa. Well, the last time anyone can prove, anyway.
Spontaneous combustion, exactly.
Interesting.
That night, he doesn't return home, and they find his car unlocked at the restaurant. At 6 p.m. the following day, Hoffa is reported missing. The investigation really doesn't go anywhere. They did a DNA test in 2001 on a hair that came from a car of a family friend and found a positive match, but the guy denied that Hoffa had ever been in the car. An FBI agent in 1989, so like 14 years after Hoffa went missing, had this to say, quote, "I'm comfortable. I know who did it, but it's never going to be prosecuted because we would have to divulge informants and confidential sources," end quote.
Yeah, just check your emails. That's all I'm saying.
I'm a little confused. Like, isn't that what the informants are for? Like, are they just treating this like an academic exercise?
So there's been a ton of Heath-level speculation about his death, and I'm going to include some of these from the wiki page.
I'm sorry, did you say Heath level? I was a conspiracy theorist way before Heath was.
All right, wait. Can I preempt this with some Noah level speculation, though? As in, like, maybe it was that guy who said he was going to rip out his guts 2 paragraphs ago. My money's on that guy.
Typical Noah, always blaming people for the threats they make. I told you, once that restraining order expires, you get a do-over. Yeah, it's fine.
Recently, the film The Irishman was released to Netflix, or as I like to call it, 2001, a mob hit.
A time odyssey.
I started watching it just before Thanksgiving. I'm going to finish sometime in March. Anyway, that movie's based on a book called I Heard You Paint Houses. In that book and in the film, they make the assertion that the professional killer that was close to Jimmy Hoffa, Frank Sheeran, was responsible for killing Hoffa. He supposedly shot Jimmy in the back of the head 2 times, and then the body was cremated. The evidence here is just non-existent.
Okay, are you calling Martin Scorsese a liar, Cecil?
Calling the guy who wrote the book that Martin based the movie off of, because Martin never has an original fucking idea. That's what I'm...
Blood traitor. How dare you?
Blood stains from that mob house did not match Jimmy's blood type, so a different guy was plugged in the back of the noggin, clearly.
Also, hey, we just saved you 4 hours of the movie version of Grandpa's story. You're fucking welcome.
God damn. Oh, if I have to see another old man eat cereal from cold cereal from a bowl, I'm going to shoot myself.
And then there was Jimmy DeFitz. His wife was a big fat gal, big fat gal. Big old tits on a big fat girl.
3 minutes of coughing. Back to the story.
Just die so I can have $11,000 split up among your 84 grandchildren.
Richard Kuklinski, the notorious mafia hitman Iceman, said Hoffa's body was put in a 55-gallon drum and set on fire for a half an hour or so. Then the drum was welded shut, buried in a junkyard, and the drum was supposedly later dug up. But they put it, not sure what they're talking about, the body or the whole drum, and then they smashed it. They put it in a car and they smashed it in a compressor, and then they shipped that to Japan for scrap.
And then we put it in a rocket ship. We shot it to the moon. And then we blew up the moon.
They had an entire body and they burned it for 30 minutes. Were they trying to seal in the juices?
They're following a very strict recipe.
What? Well, we sous vide it in this barrel first.
Yeah, exactly, right. So Mythbusters did a Jimmy Hoffa special where they scanned the ground at Giant Stadium with a radar to see if there were human remains under it. There were not. And this was confirmed later when they tore down the stadium and looked physically underneath the stadium.
And despite all that, idiots from New Jersey still make dig here signs. Yes. And they take them to the new stadium.
Shut up, for real?
For Giants games.
Shut up, for real?
For real. And they're fucking proud of it, too. They're like, yep, nailed it. Topical reference. Quality oak tag. I'm crushing this joke. CBS. I couldn't think of an acronym, but just dig here.
I'm sorry, but isn't that the wrong city? Right? Like, I feel like the dude died in Detroit. Maybe his body is somewhere in the greater Detroit area.
Noah, don't hate on this. In New Jersey's entire tourism economy is clearly based on dead body tours. What else do they have?
Here's another complete miss. Quote, police took samples from the ground under a suburban Detroit driveway.
Well, at least they're in the right fucking state.
Right state now. Continuing the quote, after a person reported having witnessed the burial of a body there around the time of Hoffa's 1975 disappearance, tests by Michigan State University anthropologists found no evidence of human remains. End quote.
I love this guy. He's like, he sees the damn body being buried and he's like, that's nothing. And then later, that could be Hoffa. You might want to check that out.
Watching news at the time.
Yeah. Also, look, Mythbusters hauled out a metal detector and some guy at Michigan State grabbed a vial full of dirt. Spontaneous combustion, case closed.
Another gangster said they basically played the shell game with Hoffa's corpse. Tony Zerilli said that he was buried in a shallow grave and they had planned to move him around a bit, but those plans deteriorated like a corpse in a shallow grave. He said that the location of the grave was near a field near the restaurant where Hoffa went missing. In 2013, police dug up the area that he indicated and found nothing, but the case remains open.
Well, to be fair, if the area indicated was just Detroit in general, the police would have found digging or otherwise.
A lot of decoys, though.
Finally, Michael Franzese, the New York mob boss, claimed to know where Hoffa was in an interview with a YouTube channel. He said that he knew who the killer was, too. His claim is that the commission, the 5 mafia bosses in New York that controlled organized crime across the country, had ordered it. He said, quote, I can tell you the body's very wet.
Caliente.
My catchphrase. And, quote, the shooter is still alive today, but currently in prison. Okay, boomer. Whatever.
Okay, but why would all those mobsters go to jail and die for a lie?
Right?
That doesn't make any sense.
Maybe if we stopped asking Jimmy the Sphinx Giacomi or whoever the fuck that is, we could get answers to this shit that isn't in the form of a fucking riddle.
The FBI did release a pretty obvious statement in the form of a 56-page memo in the Detroit Free Press.
Side note, is there a page limit at which memo is no longer the appropriate word?
Yeah, I think it's a novella at that point.
56-page memo.
They don't speculate on any of the information or facts regarding the disappearance itself, but do speculate on the motive. In it, they claim, quote, Hoffa was murdered at the behest of organized crime figures who regarded his efforts to regain power within the Teamsters as a threat to their control of the union's pension fund, end quote.
Also, murder is bad. Fire is hot. Double space.
Yeah.
Double space margin change. We're the police. We are the police.
I think the main gist of this is that there were certain people who knew what happened to Hoffa and where the corpse was, but they never said a thing about it to anyone. Or if they did, they were already recognized liars, and so no one believed them.
It's so hard to find an honest mob murderer these days.
Yeah, right,
Just
right.
can't trust them.
They should unionize.
One thing that isn't mentioned in the article is, but it's pretty evident, is the shit that this guy and other corrupt union officials pulled fueled union distrust in the United States.
Yes.
Conservatives on both sides of the aisle back then latched onto the corrupt narrative and used this to discredit unions and help weaken them significantly. I know there are a lot of other factors involved in the decline of unions, but this clusterfuck should not be overlooked.
Yeah, if only unions had been perfect, I'm sure Jeff Bezos would happily pay $15 an hour.
All right, I listened to Cecil's whole sentence, so I'll back you up there, man. Fucking bad good guys are worse than bad guys, ultimately.
And if you had to summarize what you've learned in one sentence, Cecil, what would it be?
My dad was right. He was a goddamn crook.
And are you ready for the quiz?
Absolutely. Let's do this.
All right, Cecil. Which of the following is the most valuable union benefit we all still enjoy? A, the existence of weekends and thus the proliferation of workplace Monday jokes. B, elimination of child labor so your children have more time home watching YouTube videos of grown men playing Fortnite. C, unions in large part responsible for healthcare being a private sector benefit secured through work. Or D, on second thought, fuck the unions. Actually,
Definitely not D. I'm gonna go with B. I'm a huge Twitch fan. I think we should be watching a lot more Fortnite.
Yes.
It's B.
I'm such a fan of these, so you got it right.
yeah.
Obviously.
All right, I got a good one for you, Cecil. What cool line did the mobster that killed Jimmy Hoffa say right before he pulled the trigger? A. Hasta la Teamsters, motherfucker. B. Hasta la vista, smothered trucker.
That's a good one. I like that one. That was really good.
C. Here's looking for you, kid. Or D. I'm gonna make you a Hoffa you can't reuse.
Yes.
It was also good, but you're missing the fact that he was killed by the Jewish mob. So it was Hoffa, Nagila Hoffa, Nagila Hoffa.
That is correct. That was secret answer E.
Yeah.
You got no.
All right. I got one more for you. Cecil, why are you afraid of the truth?
Jesus Christ.
A, you're part of the conspiracy and you're being paid off by Big Rig. B, your dad clearly killed Jimmy Hoffa. C, you clearly helped with the sword-based parts of that murder. D, all of the above.
At 75, I'm 2, and I'm like whacking at his ankle with a little rapier. I'm going to go with D, all of the above.
It was not D.
Oh.
No, it was specifically just your dad killed, and you didn't help.
Right, because you were only 2. You'd had to hack at his legs with the rapier.
Right. So, Cecil's dad did kill Jimmy Hoffa.
That's correct. Yep.
Get that spread out there like those
It's
people
locked
who
in.
pretended
Doesn't
to know
matter.
who-
He's dead. You can't fucking imprison ashes. Who gives a shit, right?
I mean, you can. Yeah. It's pretty cute.
I mean, we already have. They're in a box. So, yeah.
So Heath wins. Heath wins.
All right. Next week, I'm going to pick Noah.
All right. Well, for Tom, Cecil, Noah, and Noah, I'm Eli Boston. Thank you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and by then, Noah will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, Heath and I will be hiding in an underground bunker from a nicotineless Noah, who will be on a search for flesh to rend. And you can check out Tom and Cecil's new city tour of Chicago, another popcorn shop on TripAdvisor. And if you'd like to keep this show going, you can make a per-episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod, or leave us a 5-star review everywhere you can. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes, be sure to check out citationpod.com. And remember, there's no better union negotiation than when you've kidnapped someone's daughter.
You were right, Cecil. Burning them is a much better idea.
Are you guys sure? There's a lot of good essays in here. I mean, we got Jeffrey Epstein.
No.
Sandy Hook.
Absolutely not.
Oh, wait. Zip lining.
Put it in the fire.
Okay.